And we'll do the second one right in the very, very back row there. So first over here, yeah.
Thank you. I'd like to ask Paul, when you came back to do The Big Finish, so about 4 or 5 years since you made the TV movie, what was your approach to getting back into character, and how much of how you didn't, visualised or got into character for the TV movie, did you carry on with the audio? How much did you have to reset for the audios?
Well, I think the first thing we did with Big Finish was the Douglas Adams script, wasn't it? No, I'm wrong. You know what, for a time, Lord, my memory's shot. Was that, Jason, what was it?
Storm Warning. Storm Warning, which was set on the R101, the airship, and that introduced you to Charlie.
But anyway, in answer to your question, it was pretty seamless. There was and I realised quite early on that with the audio adventures, quite a few of the ideas, without even my having to mention them or discuss, say, what Phil Segal and I talked about years before, just appeared anyway. And I think that's continued, over the 10 years or so that we've been doing Big Finish. It's been a blast, that, because it's been, I'm only on a personal level, because it's meant that, I got to do the things in a way that I was denied when the partner went to see me. So it's been great, that. Long may it continue. We did some more last week, in fact.
Very, very, very back over there. The microphone's just winging its way over to you.
I have a question for you, Paul McGann. When you were acting as the Doctor, did you feel you were part of the Doctor's life, or was it just another acting job for you?
A little bit of both. When you work as an actor, you can't be so into something that you completely get. You can't be that carried away that you lose focus and control. I can't even cry. I don't even like crying. Even if it's in the script, I can't cry. Just because I was thinking, no, I want to try and stay a little bit in control. That said, although it was only 5 weeks or 4 or 5 weeks, it was really easy to get into the character of the Doctor, and daunting at the same time, and exciting. But as probably you can imagine, you realise as well you're only really ever scratching the surface, because it's almost limitless. The way you're doing it might not be the way that the next incumbent would do it. So, and in a way, it's a freedom that, because there's no definitive way. Nor do you feel like you would say if you were playing a Shakespearean king. You don't really. It's pointless to worry about how so and so did it last year. So it's pointless. So you just you do your own thing, and Phil will sort of just say, here, come on, it's you now, it's you doing it, you do it. But also for a year before the year that it took Phil, I think, to persuade me to do it, I wasn't really that into it. I didn't think that it should be me. I kept refusing him. I said, no. We'd heard there'd been all kinds of rumours for a few years, like was described on the panel this morning. That a film might happen. The result that every year there was another rumour that Eric Idle was going to play the Dr. Rowan Atkinson. Yeah, but every year it was the same. But people interested, like Rowan Atkinson, for example, people that, at least at that time, fitted the profile, or at least were in that. To me anyway, and to my brother, Mark, who also auditioned. These were recognisable. Say, these are eccentrics or comedic actors. When I was approached, I thought, well, I don't do that. That's not what I do. I do serious drama. But anyway, Phil said, here, it's yours now, you do it. But in answer to your question, that was it, and it was a joy quickly, just.
We had so little time, I think
we just had no time.
A couple of days that we just talked about the characters. It was really quick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were in there, didn't we?
Yeah. And the people that owned the actual condo where Grace lived, they were Doctor Who fans, and so they were actually probably the very first ones who really started to tell me stuff. And he was on the internet, and he started saying,
in that big house with all the glass.
I had my first kokanee beer. I love kokanee beer. And we looked on the internet, and he started saying, see, and I was like, oh. So that's when it started, right there. Yeah. And I went back years later, just in 2010, I think, and those people are still living there. We knocked on their door, and they let us in. that. There's a picture that she had of us, and we've got our script, and we're sitting next to her on her couch. Such a cool little shot. I like the corners of my mind.
So the cool thing about playing Doctor Who is that quite often, I know in our story, he doesn't know who he is. You don't know who he was for half an hour. And you know, almost by definition, you start with a regeneration, and you know, so you start from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, so you play it at your own speed. More.
So your question, number one is over there, yeah?
I've got a question for Daphne.
Where are you? Hello, wave your arm. There you are.
Grace is arguably one of the more immediately three-dimensional female characters in Doctor Who, which is something that perhaps they've struggled with. So, as an actress, what do you look for in a female character that makes her jump off the page?
I just, I need to like the character, and I think Grace is really likable, so it was easy to lend myself to her.
Do you want to look for a scene in the script?
Where you walk into it?
I want to play that scene, so it's this one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where
that's
it's just,
often the way.
there it is, right.
I'm not sure, but there's a scene I really want to do, and that often makes.
And there were lots of them in this. I mean, I always think of, whenever I see it, I think of it's like it's a ping pong with you and me, where we're going clink, 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 and it's fast. It's really fast paced, and I just felt like we somehow it was just so much fun, and it just worked. So so there were so many of those things that that made it work for me. It was a great part, you know. It was a great part. I didn't know much about Doctor Who at all, obviously, but it was just an incredible part. And so...
I loved you in that scene in the opera house, where you were at the opera.
Yeah, opera. Yeah. That was weird, man. That was a weird little shoot, wasn't it?
It was a little tiny...
It was teeny.
We just got some seeds. We couldn't,
Fake.
you know, time to talk about.
Fake out. Yeah, we had literally what you see is what it was. That's what it was. Those people, that's it. That was just us. We're sitting there and ring, out of there. We shot it in 5 seconds. It was amazing.
My wife was an extra on it.
See? Where is she?
She was like going like that.
You're famous.
A second question. There we go. A guy with a microphone somewhere over there. Yeah.
Hello. A question for Geoff, actually. I know that you did the ITV Othello for Julie Gardner, and I just wondered if she or any of the other team on the new series have ever asked you to come back and do any episodes of the BBC Wales show.
Well, they did. They asked me, in fact, to kick off the whole of the new franchise. And Julia talked to me about it. When we were doing Othello, she said, we're thinking of bringing back Doctor Who. And I said, oh, yeah, you know, because I just believe it. And she was so tenacious. And then they approached me to do the first 2, which were wonderful scripts, but I was just embarking on something else, and I had to say no. And then they have come back since then. Matt, because I work with Matt Smith, he asked me to do a Christmas special the year before last, and again, I couldn't do it. And it was heartbreaking, really, because, you know, I do think they've done, and I thought Russell's, some of those early scripts were staggeringly good. You know, the one I think I read was one with the dummies coming to life. It was amazing work, and I couldn't do them. But you know, they haven't asked me recently. I think they probably think he just doesn't want to do them. But yeah, so.
It's always good to be unavailable.
Yeah, really.
Since it is unavailable.
And we've got on the front over here.
Daphne,
Yes.
honestly, was Paul a good kisser?
I can tell you the answer there.
I deny all accusations.
It was yes. I mean, who wouldn't want to kiss Paul?
So if you want a tutorial later on. Okay, got another question over here.
Thanks. This is for Paul. I had sort of loads of questions I would have loved to ask you today, but they all got swept aside yesterday when you tweeted that you were doing some voiceover work with Matt Smith. Could you elaborate as to the truth of that or not, please?
It wasn't with Matt Smith.
Right.
It was a voice. I do a lot of voiceover work, and this was a little experiment to see if I could sound like him.
There we go.
And I didn't. It was worth a try.
Okay, we are running out of time, so we're going to have one question over there, and that may be the last one. Okay, the second to last question will be, sorry, the last question will be there, so second to last one over there.
Hi, this is a question for Geoff. Only a tiny bit off topic. About 30 years ago, you did a series called End of Part 1, where you had a spoof of Doctor Who in it, where Tom Baker supposedly regenerated. Dr. Eyes, it was called. Did it strike you as amusing that you ended up directing for the show, a show that you once spoofed?
Yeah, it kind of did, and I'd otherwise forgotten that, and I read something about it, that someone that said he's already done another Doctor Who, I thought, and then because we did so many sketches on that, it was a show that kind of sent up lovingly. Yeah, we did Hawaii 5-0, and we called it Stiff Actors 5-0. We had them all kind of moving on, and it was Doctor Who was lampooning the fact that they did have wobbly sets in those days, so I think we had the dog, and it was sort of trundling on as a dustbin or something, and it was somebody pretending to be Tom Baker, and it was all kind of very heightened acting, and it actually wasn't very funny. It was one of the very first things I'd ever do. That series was the first thing I'd ever directed with actors. I'd done documentaries and that, but so it was yeah.
It's brilliant.
It's just been re-released actually for anybody who's interested. No one else seems to have heard of it.
Denise Coffey.
Correct.
Yeah.
Denise Coffey, yeah. Oh, you've heard of it.
And the final question over there.
Hello. This is a question from my little boy here, Alex. He wants to know, apart from you, Paul, obviously, who is your favourite Doctor? And that's for all of you.
Your favourite Doctors, apart from Paul?
You're asking me?
All of you. All of you.
All of you.
Well, obviously, number one, and I love Sylvester a lot. I thought Tom Baker was pretty fabulous. And I'm catching up, so I haven't gotten to see everybody, but I thought Troughton was pretty marvelous. I mean, you know what? I can't choose, okay? I just can't. I love it. I love all the companions. I just think there's a lot to love, so, but thank you.
You missed your calling, didn't you? Work with the UN.
Yeah.
Obviously, Geoff, when you were growing up, Doctor Who was about 20 years away, but
What's this? He only says things like that when there's
Who's your favourite Doctor, apart from Paul?
Peter Capaldi. Yeah. Well, I like Matt. I have to say I do like Matt very much. I think he's.
I do too.
Matt's
I
brilliant.
love him. And I miss Amy and Rory.
Paul first, because obviously, but then Matt.
What about you, Paul?
well, Bill Hartnell was my Doctor. I think he was great. Scary as well. He was really proper scary and Victorian about it. And I thought Chris Eccleston was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was scary, wasn't it? Chris never stayed longer, but what he did, I thought, was really, to me anyway. I was talking about earlier, what I thought of the character. Chris embodied a lot of it. He's a brilliant actor, Chris Eccleston, and there's a real, almost haunted, but tender, tough but tender thing that Chris has. He's an outstanding Doctor, I think.
I mean, arguably, you were the longest running Doctor, essentially, because you made
the longest and the shortest. Where with pride.
So we have to wrap up now. Just to remind you that all the guys who are in the very first panel at the start are all going to be taking part in the signing up by the shop very shortly. But I want to thank all of them, all the usual guys we always thank at BBC, who are always so fantastic, like Matt and Ed and everybody else. But a big thank you to Geoff Sax, Daphne Ashbook, and Paul McGann.
And a big thanks to you.